one already. You know, the lots of traditional
bakery?
Mexican desserts
Pastries.
and exactly. And they seem to have changed ownership recently. I don't know what's going on. They painted the outside of the building and there's sort of a temporary sign out front, but they are making some chocolate chip cookies in there that it's like it's death to anyone's diet just walking by on the corner. It smells good.
You gain weight breathing.
Yes. Yeah. Roger was saying it's like that's how he feels when he's at like Stone Cold Creamery.
You just breathe in and you gain the pound.
You smell the waffle cone and you've you've packed on a couple.
By the way, I'm very glad that I went to the door because my toothpaste arrived.
You're sensitive.
Oh, Tom, that's such good news.
And they rang the doorbell. Usually they don't ring the doorbell. They just leave. We have a sort of a out of the way place where people can't see. They don't usually ring the doorbell for packages. So I thought, oh, maybe it's something special. No, it's some toothpaste. Thank you.
Well, it is something special. It's your toothpaste.
Yeah, it's good for my dentifrice.
Dentifrice? Is that a plant? Like a coniferous or fern?
I think it's the dental ecosystem.
It's the paste or powder for cleaning the teeth.
Yeah, we're both wrong. Well, my Chewy.com package arrived, which is I got a whole thing going on with Chewy now because I'm really buying a lot of cat and dog food, but exactly. It's just the stuff that I'm buying is just way cheaper than it is on Amazon. So it's like, okay, well, I'll just order from there.
They had a Super Bowl commercial touting that, actually.
Did they? I missed that one.
Well, it wasn't a special commercial. It was just sort of.
Right. Yeah. Do a comparison and you'll see that our prices are lower. But also with cat litter, and like I get a lot at a time because, you go through it and whatever. It's like the way that Chewy just packages everything. It's like I can't get those boxes up the stairs. What I have to do is like break down the boxes at the bottom of the stairs of my building and bring up things like one at a time because I physically am not strong enough to do that.
That's why they're announcing their new Chewy winch available now for select customers.
Thank goodness. But and the stairs are kind of precarious too. It's like I just think I'm going to die the whole time, but whatever, minor inconvenience.
Whatever.
Except, right.
As long as my dog can eat.
So you might die. Stop being so selfish. Lift with your legs. But the problem is that my latest Chewy order arrived, and I've since had to buy this new dog food that's like special. So it's even bigger than it normally is. And the boxes have gotten soaked in the rain, and now the boxes are kind of disintegrating. And I can't imagine my neighbors are thrilled because they have to use those same stairs as me. And it's just it's carnage.
By the way, if you're wondering where Patrick Beja is, he's out sick today. He wasn't feeling well. And I told him, sleep. Get better.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to do that. So that's why he's not.
I know that feeling, where you're like, I'm not feeling great, but I'll be better. And then you're sort of like, I'm worse. This is horrible. Yeah.
Well, can you read line 3 today then?
I can do that.
You can do anything. I know you can.
Except take things upstairs that are more than 50 pounds.
Packages upstairs. Incredibly bulky packages. All right. I am ready to break for Daily Tech News Show.
All right.
3, 2.
Daniel R. Houlihan has supported independent tech news directly for 5 years. Be like Daniel. Become a DTNS member at patreon.com/DTNS.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. In Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm the show's producer who doesn't know what month it is.
No one would have known that if he hadn't admitted it. That's the kind of guy our producer, Roger Chang, is. Hey, you know what? I'm still writing 2018 on my checks, even though I don't write checks.
I had to think about what month it was when I was doing Daily Tech headlines this morning. I was like, it's January, right? No, actually, it's not.
It's February. It's February 5th. And if you're saying, wait a minute, it's also a Tuesday. Where's Patrick Beja? Patrick is sick. And we told him, get some sleep, get better, rest up. And so that is what he is doing. If you miss Patrick's voice, monthly video game briefing just had a new episode come out. So you can hear a healthy Patrick in that episode. Go check that out. For now, though, let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Alphabet's Q4 earnings report showed that the company took more than $1.3 billion of operating losses in its other bets category. That category includes its experimental X Lab, the Internet Group Access, LTE Balloon Initiative Loon, drone delivery project Wing, and self-driving car unit Waymo. On the sales side, it was rosier. The company earned more than $39 billion last quarter with a profit of $8.2 billion. Net revenue was up 23% from the same quarter last year, but some payments to partners also rose 26%.
You wait, though. One of these days, one of those other bets is going to pay off. It's going to pay off big. That's what Larry and Sergey hope. A new Chrome browser extension called Password Checkup is available. It checks your login credentials against a database of compromised accounts. Now, that database is maintained by Google, but it sounds similar to Have I Been Pwned, which is a public database. Google uses a technique called blinding to create a secret search index, and then your credentials are anonymized with an Argon2 hash and encrypted with elliptic curve cryptography, all in order to reassure you that neither Google nor anyone else is looking at your passwords when the extension compares it to the database. It's just checking to see if they match a known breached account so they can alert you and say, hey, you should probably change this password.
Apple confirmed to Reuters that it has reached a deal with French authorities to back pay the country 500 million euros in taxes. Apple's French branch confirmed this tax agreement, but didn't confirm the amount, although French magazine L'Express reported that the sum was as much as it was and said that the deal was finalized back in December.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Facebook Messenger. Facebook's going to let you delete messages from a conversation after you've sent them. They'll give you up to 10 minutes to do it, which means the person on the other end could have seen it, but now you can pull it back from both sides of the conversation if you want. Last April, Facebook announced that it would build an unsend feature for all users within the next few months. After it was spotted that CEO Mark Zuckerberg already had the feature, it's rolling out to Android and iOS right this second. If you don't have it already, you'll get it soon.
We have talked about this on the show before because I was like, I've always been of the mind of if you can delete something, but it's not deleted everywhere, that's not a delete feature at all. It's also gotten me into hot water more than once before I realized what was going on, because I thought I sent something to Tom and I don't see the little scene or the timestamp of when Tom saw it and I delete it, then it's gone. Tom will never see this. But that's not true at all. That's not how it works, particularly when people get email notifications about messages, and some people have that turned on. In fact, I would wonder how that would work.
Maybe well, that's the thing, right? You're still gonna have that kind of stuff happen. So when you unsend it, it can't unsend the email if a notification happened.
But if it waits 10 minutes to send the email,
oh yeah, maybe it does that.
Then you could get around it that way. I love this, and it's not because I don't know, I want to be deleting messages all that often, but it comes up every so often. It's a little weird to me that Facebook's like, okay, well, we're offering this feature, but you can also just delete it for yourself if you prefer. You can delete it to everybody or just for yourself. I'm not sure how often anybody wants to do that.
Could you not delete it? I assume you could always delete it for yourself, but I guess maybe I don't use Facebook Messenger that much. Maybe you couldn't there.
You could. I just don't understand why that feature exists. Well, when do you ever want to do that?
If you want to delete anything in your screen, like I just don't want to see this anymore, right? Like I know it's out there, I know it was sent, but I don't want to look at it the next time. Maybe you had an argument in your text message and you're over it.
All right.
But the next time you text message the person, you're like, I don't want to see this hanging around in the background.
Okay.
I've used it for similar situations before where I'm just like, hey, you know what? I want to clear this history and get a clean start. But yeah, it can lead to confusion if people think, oh, that's unsending it. It's not, but well, now for Facebook Messenger, at least you have that option.
Well, you got 10 minutes anyway.
For 10 minutes.
The thing hard about that. Toyota and Sumitomo Mitsui Auto Service are launching a gamified car subscription service called Quinto in Japan. The Quinto 1 level lets you choose either a Prius or a Corolla Sport, an Alphard, a Velifire, or a Crown. Haven't heard of some of those cars, and pay between $20 and $900 per month.
I think it's more than that. I think that's a typo. I think it's like 400 to 900.
Oh,
Double
I was
check
going to
that for
say,
you.
wow, the Prius is pretty affordable.
Yeah.
Quinto Select gives you a Lexus for $1,630 per month. Toyota said that drivers will be awarded points based on things like safe or ecological driving. The points could then be used to reduce your monthly payments. Quinto Select, that's the one with the Lexus, the more expensive one, is available now, and Quinto One arrives March 1st. Both are on a trial basis from select dealers in Tokyo. The plan is to roll out more widely this summer, and the points program won't launch until at least autumn.
So you have to be willing to be surveilled by the company you're leasing or renting or whatever you call this, your car from, right? Because that's the only way this
Right.
works. And they haven't detailed what constitutes safe driving, what constitutes ecological driving, which is probably why they're not launching this program until autumn. They're probably still nailing down exactly how they want this to operate so that people feel like it's a benefit, but they don't bankrupt themselves with a point system that goes out of control or can be gamed too easily or whatever. But all those concerns aside, let's assume for the sake of argument that it's transparent what data they're collecting about you and how it works for these points. What do you think of this idea of encouraging better driving habits in order to give you a break on your car rental service or your lease?
Well, I because again, this is a for-profit idea. I wonder why the car companies would care all that much, unless for some reason they are in a better position when they can say, well, all of our drivers never exceed the speed limit.
I would think it would be a couple of reasons. One is customer acquisition. Right now, these subscription services are new. So if you can be like, oh, that one actually, I could have a chance of reducing my payment, I'm going to try that. And two, these cars are either going to be put back out to other subscribers or sold off as used cars. And the better shape they're in, you know, the better for the service as a whole.
Yeah, I guess if data is being collected, and let's say safe driving has a lot to do with going the speed limit or not, right? So if I exceed the speed limit, that data is going somewhere.
Right.
Sure, maybe I won't get in trouble for it, but it would give me pause because I know that if law enforcement catches me going over the speed limit, then I get in trouble. But I don't want to get in trouble with the company I'm leasing a car from.
Well, and there's also going to concern, is Toyota going to share this with my insurance company? Which
Exactly.
Insurance companies do this too, where they say, hey, if you want to track your data, we'll give you a break on your insurance if you're a safe driver, and they have their own metrics for that. But that's also voluntary. So it does play into the data collection thing. And I think for me, the devil's in the details. You know, what constitutes safe or ecological driving? How much can I actually get a discount? That makes all the difference.
All
to
the
me
way
whether
down
I
to
would want
$20 per month, Tom.
It was 420. I'm sorry about that.
Just for really good drivers.
Yeah. Last October, IBM announced Philira AI. It's spelled Phillyra. It was meant to develop new scents for the fragrance industry. So in addition to developing new scents, it can also identify alternative materials. So you could make the same scent if you were running out of an ingredient. Recommended amounts based on usage, so people wouldn't waste their perfume. It helped a company called Simrise create 2 new perfumes for the beauty company O Boticario. And now Philira AI has got a new job as part of a platform to help McCormick create new flavor profiles. And of course, smell is part of taste, so this makes sense. Philira can use data on flavors and spices along with sales and marketing data from McCormick to improve recipes and tailor them to specific regions. So your kosher version, your vegan version, your low sodium version, they can all taste very similar to the regular version. McCormick also hopes to create an iconic food product like its own French's yellow mustard or something like Pringles or Tootsie Roll or something like that. The first new recipe mix flavors coming out from McCormick as a part of this collaboration are Tuscan chicken, bourbon pork tenderloin, and New Orleans sausage, and they're expected to be on grocery shelves by the end of the spring.
Wow, and these are just flavorings. So
yeah, so McCormick makes mixes so you can make sauces or stews or rubs and stuff like that. Most people are probably familiar with them as making spices, but they also make these sort of helper mixes.
It's interesting. When I first read the story, I was like, how is, fragrance and then how does it translate to food? But you make a good point that taste and smell are very intricately linked. And sure, if I want my soup to taste like New Orleans sausage and it's the best one, then that's the flavor packet I'm going to buy.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things this can do. One is optimize the flavors. So it's like, oh, these are the ones that our data shows people think taste the best, and we'll combine those flavors and it'll work. But it could also come up with new flavors, right? New products. And I think that's what McCormick is banking on, is we're going to have the next Pringles. It's going to tell us how to make something that nobody else has made before. Although McCormick doesn't really make too many things like that. I guess a new mustard or ketchup or sauce or something might be in the offing. So yeah.
Well, and if you're vegan or kosher or you want something that's low sodium, your options historically have been quite limited. You got a whole grocery store and you got maybe one aisle of stuff that's made specifically for your dietary needs. So if these sorts of flavorings can be absolutely legitimately kosher, but taste as good, well, I don't know. Kosher eating is actually pretty good already, but okay, let's say it's
low sodium is probably a better example. Right?
Exactly, low sodium, but you wish you could eat all the salt, and your taste buds are fooled, so to speak. Then that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's a good start anyway. Okay, engineers at Dartmouth College have invented a dime.
No. You got DJ Marshmallow first.
Oh, sorry, Tom. Yes, of course. How could I forget? On February 2nd, a DJ named Marshmallow, as in mellow, not mallow, played a concert in Fortnite that players could watch for free if they moved their avatar to Pleasant Park, which is where the concert was. On Twitter, Jeff Keighley said that his sources say more than 10 million concurrent players watched that concert. That's a lot of people. There is, of course, Marshmallow X Fortnite merchandise available for sale. An extended mix of the Fortnite set is also available on Apple Music exclusively. Marshmallow also announced that a collaboration with Bollywood composer Pritam and artist Shirley Sophia called Beja is being released worldwide on the in-house label of Spotify rival JioSaavn, which is one of India's largest streaming services. That's not an exclusive, though. It's available pretty much all over the place.
Yeah, but it's interesting. DJ Marshmallow has now impressed me by saying, you know where I'm going to find the biggest audience I could possibly find? In Fortnite. Like, yeah, no, that makes sense. And then saying, I see that at the top of the YouTube charts consistently are Indian music artists. So I'm going to work with someone who sings in Hindu and release this on an Indian hot streaming label. I'm not going to do it exclusive because that would be counterproductive. So I'm going to put it on Spotify and YouTube and everywhere, but this is going to push my music out more and more. I mean, this is the cutting edge of what a musician should be doing. And I read up a little bit. I'm not familiar with Marshmallow that much, although I played some of the songs and I recognize them. So I must have been hearing them. But it sounds like Marshmallow is someone who has been very careful about the model, in that what the DJ does is signs licenses with the artists they collaborate with, and then put the records out on that collaboration artist label, rather than signing to a particular label that you then have to put everything out on.
I was going to mention he's one of the new breed of artists, and if anyone's not familiar with Marshmallow, he's same vein as Dead Mouse. He I think he's right. It's like there's this collaboration, but also not kind of tying yourself to a single label where you're restricted in what you can do. And you see this with a lot of new artists where they collaborate with not just big name artists, but other similar artists in order to gain more name recognition, but also to put their music out to a wider audience.
I watched a little bit of the concert, and my first reaction was, what? There's like not 10 million people dancing here, but you didn't have to have your avatar participate, as I understand it. You could just sit back and enjoy the show.
Yeah, and I don't think it could display all 10 million avatars at once.
Probably not, but it looked like, looked like a happy 50 avatars or so jamming out. It's I don't know. It's smart. I was not familiar with Marshmallow either, Tom, so don't feel bad. Roger, you are the coolest one of us.
Roger's on the cutting edge of music.
I'm not cool. Just my daughter needs to go through a lot of different music, and that's one of the top profiled artists on YouTube music.
Gotcha. Do you run into a lot of Indian music, like Music Business Worldwide was saying?
There are a lot of artists that borrow heavily from kind of the Bollywood style, and it's more, pardon me, more apparent than it used to be. And I think it's a growing trend where people are trying to find new influences and new sounds so they can be unique literally in a world of millions and millions of really talented people.
I have to say, I love it when Marshmallow collaborates. I want some more. Now, those engineers at Dartmouth, they've been waiting. They got bumped by Marshmallow. I'm sorry. Engineers at Dartmouth College have invented a dime-sized device that converts kinetic energy from your heartbeat into electricity in order to power implanted devices, particularly pacemakers. It uses a thin piece of polymer piezoelectric film called PVDF to create the electricity. In fact, in a pacemaker situation, it can take the kinetic energy from the lead of the pacemaker that's touching the heart and convert that into electricity that can then recharge the batteries of the pacemaker. The PVDF can also be used as a sensor to provide real-time information about the heartbeat. The results of a 3-year study were published in Advanced Materials Technologies, and the first round of animal studies supposedly went well, and the results of that will be published soon. If you have to have your pacemaker's battery changed, you have to undergo surgery. I mean, the thing is implanted, unless it's external. But if the pacemaker is implanted, you have to go under. You have to go through anesthesia. They have to open up your chest and they have to pull out the battery and put in the new one. It's a routine surgery, but it's not without risk. It's not entirely risk-free. And so if you could make the pacemaker's battery last for the life of the patient, that's a big plus.
How long would a pacemaker battery be expected to last currently?
I don't have an answer to that, but it is.
I don't either, because
it is something that is in the order of years,
sure,
not decades.
Yeah, but to undergo surgery, and like you said, there's risk and just discomfort and healing process and all of that stuff.
It is a somewhat routine surgery, and people do it all the time, but there's a risk of infection, like you say, and all of that. So eliminating that is huge.
And typically the patients that receive that type of surgery or that type of implant tend to be older. And so you run a higher risk of recuperation and the rest. So it's, I mean, as Tom said, it's routine, but there's always risk involved.
BioCast says in our chat room that a lot of the pacemakers are just under the skin. So it's a minor surgery, may not require anesthesia all the time. Potentially, but still.
But it's way cooler if your heartbeat is doing it for you.
My heartbeat powers the pacemaker, which makes my heart beat. It's sort of it's a perpetual motion machine in my chest. That's amazing.
It's amazing. Just be kind in those animal studies, doctors.
Yes, of course. Well, they're keeping the hearts beating for these animals. I'm going to pretend to myself when I think about it. To get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, don't forget our other show, Daily Tech Headlines, at dailytechheadlines.com. Go subscribe right now. Microsoft's Chief Online Safety Officer, Jacqueline Boucher, posted a post today titled, "People Around the World Report Increased Civility Online, New Microsoft Research Shows." That's right. Increased civility. You may not feel it, but apparently the numbers are there. Let's talk about what they found, how they determined it, and then Sarah and I and Roger will try to figure out what it means. Microsoft's Digital Civility Index is being measured for 3 years now. It measures exposure to risk. So it's like a golf score. The lower the score, the better. The risk this time is 66%. So you want it to be low. That's not terribly low, but it's 2 points below last year. So things are getting more civil. It is, however, 1 point higher than 2 years ago. So it's not necessarily, the best we've been in the 3 years.
We got a lot of worse, and now we're getting a little better.
Exactly. Now, this may surprise you, though. 4 countries performed much better in this year's civility index. The U.S. went down 10 points. Germany went down 8 points, France down 6, and Belgium down 5. Online risks experienced by family and friends of respondents fell 5 points to 63%. And unwanted contact is still the highest risk. That's I'm getting harassed by somebody or somebody's contacting me that I don't want. That still fell 4 points to 40%. In fact, it was really the only one that fell. It's driving most of the index's change, but it is still the highest risk and it's falling. Now, consequences of exposure like loss of trust or stress or losing sleep, lowering your participation in social networks and blogs, etc., that increased. So even though the civility got better, the consequences of being exposed to incivility got worse. Positive actions to address risks also fell. People stopped doing things to make life better, even though it was getting better. However, there's a couple other positive. 42% of teens asked parents for help. That's up 32% from the prior year. Family and friends accounted for 28% of online risks, which is up 11 points. But you could interpret that as a good thing, meaning fewer strangers are harassing each other, which would cause the percentage of family and friends to rise because you're always going to have a certain percentage from the people you know. The UK has the lowest risk overall at 50%. The US is second at 51%. France is third at 52%. The worst of the three in the survey are Peru, 79%, South Africa, 78%, and Chile, 75%. Now, I know whenever we have these surveys, people want to know, okay, but how did they do this? It's a survey. Between May 4th and May 31st of last year, 2018, they surveyed 11,157 teens and adults. They split it 50-50 between men and women, spread equally across 22 countries, asking about exposure to online risks across 4 categories: reputation, behavior, sexual, and personal or intrusive. The countries changed. They added Canada and Singapore. They removed Australia, China, and Japan. But there's a section in the PowerPoint that shows that even if you had included the countries you removed, this more recent data would not have changed. So they feel like they've got a better mix this time. Now, Microsoft recommends that there are things you can do to increase civility online. You can act with empathy and compassion. The golden rule: do unto others as you would do unto yourself. Respect differences, honor different perspectives, and when disagreements surface, engage thoughtfully. Avoid name calling and personal attacks. Pause before replying. This is the biggest one I do for myself, is just wait. Don't post or send anything until you've had a chance to calm down. And stand up for yourself and others if you see people being abusive or cruel in other places. Report threatening activity, preserve evidence of inappropriate or unsafe behavior. So even though overall this isn't much of a change, a couple of percentage points, it's a big change in Germany, the US, France, and Belgium, Sarah. And is this just sort of like, well, it's too close to call, or are we turning a corner? Are we learning?
Well, I sure would like to think that we're learning. A survey of 11,000 and some change teens and adults that are split 50-50 between men and women across 22 countries is not that many people from each country. So if you want to break down the survey, it's like, well, that's still pretty small.
About 500 per country. But yeah, they are selected with an emphasis on being representative. So
absolutely. And you might also say, okay, well, this is a Microsoft research study. What do they get out of it? But I don't know. The takeaways that, Tom, you just went through all sound like really nice, decent human behavior. Not, you should use Microsoft Bing. That's the way to stay right, happier online, that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't, gosh, I've seen so much terrible online behavior. We all know what that is, and the different categories of what abuse would be, and making people feel sad online and that sort of thing. I know certainly my community on Twitter has become extremely vocal about when someone's getting harassed, and there are certain measures that companies are putting into place, sometimes a little bit more slowly than we'd like, but I do believe that it's going in that direction. And those are all tools, at least on the company side, to try to keep people having a good time on social media. So I think that that's probably lending itself to a better trend. I wonder about the countries who are doing the worst, and if that is just, if it's a cultural thing that perhaps we don't understand.
I would also propose that while it could be cultural, it could also be places where the internet is newer for more people, where
That
internet
too.
penetration was not as high recently. Because what I would like to think is that we are going to learn how to deal with these new ways of communicating, and we will get better and more civil as time goes on and we get more familiar with them. And that maybe this will show that. I don't think it shows it yet. A 2-point change is not enough for me to feel hope for the future yet. A 10-point change in the US, though, that's something to take a look at and hope that it continues to be a trend. You're going to need to have a few more years of this study before I feel comfortable. But likewise, Chile and South Africa, if they start to go down over the years, maybe that shows like, oh yeah, no, it was just the people were just getting used to these new ways of communicating there.
Roger, were you going to weigh in?
I was going to say one quick thing in that probably a lot of it has to do with awareness and not and a social level awareness, not just campaigns that show up flyers or commercials, but people saying, "Hey, don't do that. That's kind of you're being a jerk." You know, where you are literally kind of you're kind of reined in by societal norms in the same way that like being a public nuisance or like a jerk in the middle of the street is considered bad by most people.
Yeah, and that's part of being more familiar. As we get used to these new tools, we get used to what the norms should be. So the newer you are to it, the more trouble you're likely to have.
And I think the note about consequences of exposure. So that's you're stressed out, you don't sleep well, you don't want to be online as much. I can certainly say that I've experienced all of those things.
Yeah.
And sometimes walking away and being like, you know what, I don't want to be on Facebook right now, or wherever the network is, wherever you're hanging out online that is an unsafe or unpleasant place to be, causes a lot of people to say, I'll just take a step back. And then you sleep better because whatever's going on is not right in front of your face anymore.
I think it's cumulative too. Like, even though the civility may be getting better, the fact that you've put up with it for years makes you tolerate it less, which is why you might be seeing a stronger reaction, a stronger consequences, even as the incivility is reduced.
Yes, absolutely. When you get older, you just don't want to deal with it anymore. Yeah. It was fun when I was a kid. Wow.
Yeah, right.
We're just yelling at each other. Hey, thanks everybody who participates in our subreddit. You're all wonderful and pleasant people. We're happy to have you. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Also on facebook.com, a very nice groups/dailytechnewsshow. All right,
real quickly before we check in, breaking news. Thank you, GPEG, for alerting me to this in the chat room. Angela Ahrendts announced she's leaving Apple retail in April.
Huh.
Yeah. Ahrendts has been at
about
Apple retail
5 years for her?
Spring 2014. So yeah, just about 5 years. Huh. Deirdre O'Brien, the HR leader at Apple, will take over as head of Apple retail and online store operations and continue to lead the HR team. That's an interesting combination.
Yeah, I was going to say is that a lateral move? But I guess she's just really good at lots of things. Well, ask an Apple employee maybe before you say that. All right, let's check in now with Chris Christensen, the amateur traveler, on a way that a love of flight might pave the way for a different kind of love.
This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler with another Tech in Travel Minute. I've talked on this segment about keeping track of your trips with the TripIt app, but there's another app that's come on my radar, which is the App in the Air, which is a competitor to that. You can use it to keep track of your trips as well as your frequent flyer programs, but there's another feature that it has, which is you can use it to connect with people in their network who are nearby. There are nearly 1 million frequent flyers who are using the app, and some of them apparently are now doing frequent flyer dating using the nearby feature of the App in the Air. So if you're looking to find another frequent flyer, you might check it out. I'm Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler.
So many jokes. And I won't make any. Okay, I'll make this one. I bet they fight over who gets to pay with their points card for dinner.
Good joke, Tom.
Thanks.
Very good joke. No, it's kind of like I wanted to snicker a little bit at this too, but if you are sitting in a plane that often for business or for whatever reason, and many people are, that might be where you might meet someone more often than at the grocery store.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
All
All right, let's
check
move
out the
on to our
mailbag.
mailbag. Jinx. Tim had some thoughts on our conversation yesterday about whether people are really aware of how ads on social networks and platforms work and if they really care. Tim says, until very recently, I was unaware of Facebook's ad settings page, even though I've been using Facebook for many years and I am vested in my personal security and privacy. When I first visited that page, I smiled, thinking, boy, did they have that wrong, as I looked at some of the items they thought I was interested in. I was tempted to correct it, but then I had another thought. Well, what if I just pick complete nonsense just to mess up the algorithm? Early last year, I downloaded all of Facebook's data about me. I was pleased to find that I had only ever clicked on about 40 ads in the many years I've used Facebook. I've never bought anything based on any of those ads. And so I decided to leave my Facebook ad settings alone, as they support just the behavior that I want to exhibit, namely not falling for ads. Sorry, Facebook advertisers, you're not making any money off of me.
Well, okay. I am of the opinion that ads aren't evil in and of themselves if they're right. Like, I always use movie trailers as the example. Like, I want movie trailers. I want those ads. I want people to show me what movies look like so I can decide what movies to see. And I know some people don't look at trailers because of spoilers, whatever, but that's an example of a good ad. So I would rather have a system where the ads are only for things that I wanted to know about, rather than, I think the problem with ads is not that they exist, it's that they're a waste of my time and exploitive and undermining my privacy. I want that to go away, but I do want useful ads that are respectful of my privacy, that tell me about things that I wouldn't have known of otherwise, that I want to know about. Someday, maybe we'll get that.
Well, thanks for the feedback, and thanks to everybody who sends us mail every day. Keep it coming. Hey, as Tom mentioned at the top of the show, if you missed Patrick Beja, because we certainly did, you can still have some Patrick in your ears on the monthly video games briefing. You can subscribe at dailytechnewsshow.com/MVGB feed or frogpants.com/MVGB.
And don't forget, folks, we need your help to reach our goal of one more patron than last month. You could be that person. Pull over to the side of the road, stop your jogging for a second, or remember when you get back home to become a DTNS member, and you'll get an ad-free RSS feed, special episodes from me on how we do the show, special episodes looking back on the tech news of the past each month. There's all kinds of cool benefits of being a member, plus just knowing that you are among the 95% of our revenue that supports what we do, and we're answerable to those people. Those are the people we pay attention to. Be one of them by signing up at patreon.com/DTNS.
And maybe you can do it while jogging, but be careful.
Take a picture.
Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We are live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Sure did.
All right. Whatever shall we call this show?
Oh, that is an excellent question.
AI, aroma, intelligence.
That's good.
That's not bad.
I like it.
IBM's new AI makes sense. McCormick's adds a dash of AI. Roger, the coolest DTNS member.
Don't mock me.
No,
I don't think it was mocking.
It's not a mock. It's starting to unnerve me how little I know about things that everyone's like, what? 10 million people on Fortnite watch this concert. And I'm like, I don't know Marshmallow.
Which leads us to a Fortnite to remember.
You might, Fortnite to remember. That's actually good. That what I like.
That's pretty good.
All right, Roger likes it.
Perpetual heart.
Don't take my what was it on Reading Rainbow? Don't take my word for it.
But you don't have to take our word for it.
No, I think you. The big one is Marshmallow with Bastille to do the song "Happier."
I like Bastille, and I know he did something with Khalid, and there was some other band. Yeah, because I kind of looked him up too, Tom. I was like,
They
so
in
stupid.
that story from the Music Biz that we linked to, they mentioned a few. They mentioned the Khaled one.
Mhm.
I know. Let me pull that up. Musicbusinessworldwide.com had it.
It's really hard to keep track, though. I mean, there's just so many new artists rolling out every month.
We're now in that era where there's the music producer who's sometimes a collaborator, and so they're not 100% of just a musical artist. They're doing all sorts of stuff, or maybe they're just on the remix. And
Happier featuring Bastille, Silence featuring Khaled, and Friends featuring Anne Marie.
no, I don't know Anne Marie either, but I definitely know Bastille. In fact, I really like them. Whatever happened to them? I guess they collabed with DJ Marshmallow.
That's right. That's what happened.
Yeah. It's what you do now. Like it's collab, collab, collab. It's
That's
just
why
that-
we have, Patrick Beja and Justin Robert Young and Scott Johnson on the show, collabing. Actually,
That's
I'm
great.
talking to This Week in Science about doing like regular collabs where
Cool.
we like each of us would go on their show, I don't know, once a year or something. And each of them would come onto our show.
Not an appearance more.
No, well, I just don't want to overdo it. It'd be like, we're going to be on your show all the time. But
Sure, of course.
like once a quarter, one of us would go on, let's say, as an example. So one quarter it would be me, when next quarter would be Sarah, and next quarter would be Roger, and vice versa. Blair and Justin and Kiki, they could all possibly. So we're trying to figure out how that might work.
Cool.
But collabs are the thing. Brian Brushwood and I are cooking up a collab for the Modern Rogue in June that I'm very excited about because it involves whiskey. So,
well, that does sound good,
doesn't it?
Tom, you're a collab happy guy.
I'm collab happy.
You are. I don't know how you do it. How do you do so many collabs?
I probably make it sound like I'm doing more than I am. A lot of them are
I
planned.
know you have like 100 million shows.
Well, yeah, I do have a lot of shows. I probably just shouldn't would be my answer. Maybe I should cut back.
No. I mean, if you enjoy it and it's it's good stuff.
It can be stressful sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that going back to having a ton of self-discipline because you have to make your own schedule, but you have to stick to that schedule. And when you add something into that schedule, it's always so easy to be like, oh, let's do a show. It's going to be great. And then you sort of look and go, okay, I have 1 hour at 8 a.m. on Wednesdays. That used to be when I had coffee.
Yeah. No, seriously. There was a point where I had so much going on that I couldn't schedule calls with people. I'd be like, I don't have time to talk. I could talk to you at 8 p.m. tonight. People like, and even like, not even like people who wanted to cold pitch me or whatever, but like with you or Veronica or, somebody's like, hey, let's talk about something. Like, I ain't got time. Thankfully, having you on the show, bringing in Rich on Daily Tech Headlines, having Jenny and then Roger, all of that started to help me figure out,
what else can I realistically do and not just.
But it's why we want to make more money on the show. It's not because we're greedy and we want to just rake in the dollars, although who doesn't, but it's because we want to be able to do more stuff. And we can't. We're only humans, so we need more resources to be able to do more things.
Yeah, I actually have a project that I'm working on with a friend of mine where I'm going to be producing her podcast and more on that when she feels like, but she's on the East Coast and just the 3-hour difference is a constant issue with us. Because somebody will be like, oh, I thought you meant 4 p.m. Eastern. I'd be like, no, that would be 1 p.m. my time. Like, I will never be able to do that. We've talked about this, that sort of thing. And it's like, there are little scheduling, just little it's like a whack-a-mole game. It's all figure outable, but it can be really challenging when you're not just like, oh, okay, I go to this one place and then I work there all day and then I go home.
For 8 hours ago. Yeah. Sometimes I miss that. I don't miss other things about it, but I sometimes miss that simplicity of like, I clock in, I clock out.
Yeah. I usually don't miss it, but
No, me
when
either.
I feel stressed out about, and it's usually because I've overscheduled myself and then I'm
Yeah.
just stressed and I shouldn't have done that in the first place.
Right,
So
right.
It kind of goes back to me, but I'll just be like, just, can't I just like sit at a cube, and have
I didn't
somebody
like
tell me
any
what
of the
to
things
do?
that happened in those hours, maybe,
Right.
but the idea, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think I think in general, and it depends on the kind of person you are, but being able to be a freelancer or
Mhm.
work for yourself,
Yeah.
in the capacity that we do is pretty cool.
Brian was asking me yesterday if I was, after 5 years, into the entrepreneurial part of it. I'm like, no, it's like brushing my teeth. Like, it's something I have to do. I just want to make my shows though.
Yeah. Oh, you mean sort of the business
Yeah,
side?
running a business side of things. I'm like,
I've had so many folks over the years, sort of, because I've done lots of TV and web series and the whole thing. And people go, "Why don't you start your own network?" And I go, "Well, I don't know. It sounds hard. It sounds
it's
like
a lot of
business."
work. That's why.
Yeah, it's like it's I'm not just dismissing the idea outright,
No,
but
no.
that doesn't appeal to me the way it would appeal to a lot of people
And
who would like the idea of having a crew
right.
and paying them and managing. There are lots of aspects of that I don't think I would enjoy, even though I haven't tried it.
And I can already hear some of my friends who are into that sort of thing saying, "Yeah, but this is how you grow your enterprise and give you the ability to do more things, and you delegate and you hire people to do that stuff that you don't like." And I'm like, "You're saying that because you like the ride that takes you on." And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of the self-help books and the business advice out there sometimes sound to me like, be a person like me, be my personality type, and then do these things and you'll be successful. And it's like, well, not all of us enjoy that
Your
ride.
personality type.
Yeah. So I don't know.
There's also, there are folks who are really good at managing a team. And I have been in situations where I've managed a few people or more people, depending on where I worked, or no people. And managing people is hard.
Yeah.
It is, especially if you do not, and this is what I learned, especially if you don't get to choose the people you
Right.
put
Oh
in
yeah,
that role.
that can be super hard.
When you're given a difficult team,
Although-
and it's even with great people though. It's like, I don't know, someone gets sick, or there's
Mm.
some drama between whatever, or there's a breakdown in communication, and it's like, I have found in the past that I end up going like, why is this my problem? Gosh, can't you guys just figure it out?
I'm going to try not to speak too far out of school here, but Eileen, my wife, is the senior director of production for Fandango and Rotten Tomatoes. She has a big team that she got to hire most of them. She put together this team. She's very proud of this team. But one of the things she has found and I say I have to be careful because she loves her team. Don't get me wrong. She thinks it's a rock star of a team, and it absolutely is. But she has found, she's like, sometimes they're too much like me because I put them together. And she's like, oh yeah, they don't want to deal with the same BS that I don't want to deal with, and now we don't have anyone to deal with that BS because
there you go. Exactly.
you gotta be careful. Yeah.
It's like you're having a great time at lunch, but afterwards,
and making great products and killing it, but then it's like everybody's like, oh yeah, I don't want to sit in that meeting. You're like, oh crap.
Yeah, very true.
The Economist had a piece on one of its podcasts recently about FOMO and Jomo.
I know what FOMO is, but I don't know what Jomo is.
Jomo is the joy of missing out.
Oh, I've got that.
And those are the people who don't like meetings are Jomo. Like, yeah, I don't want to hear anything. I would like to miss out, please. Thank you. Leave me out of the meeting. And the Economist was saying you need both types. You need some FOMO people and some Jomo people to keep things going.
I think that's probably a good way to put it. Yeah.
I think one of the big mistakes that I notice when people hire is they instinctively hire people not just like them, but like people they'd like to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find over time is like generally those don't make the best employment or
that's not
hires.
enough to make a decision.
Yes.
It might be okay, but they also have to have other things, right?
Like that you need, like I don't want to. I was speaking very vague terms, but that was a job where someone hired someone based on like their likes and the way they wrote their cover letters. Like, really? It's
Yeah, that's not a
I
good way to.
there need this job requires an X kind of aptitude for it, right? You need to have you need to be technical, but you also have to be like enjoying it. Because you don't enjoy it, they're not gonna be here for very long. And I was right. Like that person lasted less than a year because they didn't like the job. It's just like you need.
I've also, and yes, we'll keep it real vague. I have hired people in the past that seemed perfect for the job, but you don't know enough about that day-to-day personality that's going to be a factor. In some roles that would matter more than others, but at times where I kind of go like, I wish I would have known that this was kind of going to be a thing that I have to deal with.
It's an inexact science, right?
It is, yeah. I tried to vet as well as possible, but you know, gotta hire somebody.
Well, what is an exact science is time. Actually, it's not.
It's a flat circle,
right? And it's also relative, but it is.
You're
We're out of
irrelevant.
it for the video people, sadly, but the audio people stick around because time is relative. There's lots more for that.